Just going to talk about what needs to happen in order for ePortfolios to support lifelong learning. We know that learning is continuous, that it can't be controlled, that it happens in formal, non-formal and informal learning situations, and that it needs to be captured to be able to share that learning with others. And we do that through a variety of ways. We do that through our certificates, and we do that through images, capturing bits of the actual evidence and so forth. But this is actually very hard to manage and often ends up in the bottom of a drawer, like mine does. Or sometimes we'll use more formal learning ways of capturing the learning using things like folders, like I did here to get my reclassification within my employment. And what we do is we rely heavily on text to actually demonstrate our skills and ability. So what we've realised is that digital environments enable us to capture and share information a lot easier. And so we've moved into areas of blogs, we use wikis, we use video, we use audio, and then there's things like digital images through mobile phones, digital cameras, and point of view or spyglasses. But what has to happen is a number of things have to happen if we're going to see the pure potential of how ePortfolios support lifelong learning. First of all, we're going to need certain skills to be able to use these environments. So we know that the early adopters are using these digital media and multimedia and Web 2.0 environments. But in order to make this from an emerging type environment into a mainstream environment, we need certain skills. So if we take, for example, the digital image, to take a photo, we need to first of all understand what makes a good photo. And then once we've taken the photo, we need to know how to move it from the device into a space. So whether it's onto our computer or into Flickr. And then we need to know, once we've put it somewhere, how to find it again. So we need file management skills. And what we also need to be able to do is format the photo. We need to be able to resize it. We need to be able to crop it. So we need a whole range of different skills in order just to take an image to use as part of our lifelong learning, to capture that information. The other sorts of things that we need is some structures. We need some structure to support lifelong learning and the use of technology. We need policies that enable us to gather the information that's stored about us in places, so such as in a learning environment where evidence is kept about us on a student management system. So how can we actually get that information in a digital format? So we have digital certificates and qualifications and access to the latest information about our formal learning environments. We also need the technologies. We need not only the access to computers and access to mobile devices that enable us to capture the information. We need access to the internet. We need good broadband internet connection, and we need that on a regular basis. We can't just have it ad hoc or 1 or 2 hours a week in a formal learning environment. We need it to be embedded in what we do. And what we also need is storage. So as we start to move into these digital spaces and we realise the potential of using things like video and audio and digital, we actually then need space. We need digital space to house all of this information. So we need some structure around how that's going to be handled. Lifelong learning also requires the support of people. We need our educators, facilitators, counsellors, mentors. We need them to have the skills to use the technology, to understand what facilitation is about. How do we facilitate somebody else's learning instead of dictating what that learning is? We need to be able to use our peers and our colleagues and our networks, and we need to know how to use them well. in the lifelong learning journey. And we need to have people in an employment situation who manage the learning, not just the output, but the learning. And also what we need is space. We need to allow time for experimentation. We can't be expected to be experts and perfect at something straight away. We need to be able to reflect. Was that something good? How would I do it better? Is that useful for anybody? We need to be able to share and collaborate our learnings. We don't want it all locked behind what they call walled gardens. We don't want it all locked behind password, closed communities. We need it to be open and dynamic, because often our greatest learning or our newest learning will happen in what they call the weakest links, the people we don't normally connect with. And what we also need to be able to do is move away from focusing on the output or the assessment or the summative assessment and look at the process and understand the process and value the process. So in order for ePortfolios to support lifelong learning, we need to concentrate and develop these 4 areas. We need to look at skills, structure, support and space, if we're going to see the pure potential of how technology can support and enhance lifelong learning.